The World in a Wall, Part 2. So, in the previous session, we learned, we studied about how the wall is described by the author. Who were the inhabitants of the wall? Now, let us move ahead with the chapter. But my favorites were the shyest members of the wall community who did not seek any attention. They were the most dangerous. You hardly ever saw one unless you looked for it, and yet there may have been several hundred living in the cracks. Okay, so let us go back to the first statement. But my favorites, once again, who is my here? The author Gerald Durrell himself refers to him as my in the book. What do you mean by the word shyest? Shy, that means he is not quite active, not quite open. Okay, who did not seek any attention. Okay, those who did not crave for any attention, who do their work, but they are not bothered about if anyone is seeing or not, observing or not. They were also the most dangerous. Also, at the same time, if you're not looking at them, they're dangerous too. Okay, it might be that they might come and attack you, but you're not aware of it only. And yet, there must have been several hundred living in the cracks of the wall. If you gently lifted a piece of the loose plaster away from the brick, there, crouching beneath it, would be a little black scorpion, an inch long, looking as though he were made out of polished chocolate. Let us go back. If you gently lifted a piece of the loose plaster, okay, so in the previous few sentences only, Gerald had told us, he had made clear that there was plaster coming off. Okay, the cover was coming off. Okay, there was no plaster at some places too. Away from the brick, there, crouching beneath it. Crouching, okay, crouching means bending down and walking in a stealthily manner. Okay, so crouching beneath it would be a little black scorpion, an inch long, looking as though he were made out of a polished chocolate. So with what does the author compare the scorpion? With a polished chocolate. They were weird looking things with their flattened oval bodies, their neat crooked legs, the enormous crab like claws, bulbous and neatly joined as armor, and the tail like a string of brown beads, ending in a sting like a rose thorn. Okay, so this particular sentence describes the scorpion. Okay, the only sentence which describes the scorpion in a very precise manner. Okay, so how was the scorpion? Okay, how was the appearance? What was the appearance of the scorpion? Okay, first of all, he's stating that they were weird looking things with flattened means something which is not a three-dimensional thing. Okay, if you have a box with you and you sit on it, it gets flattened. Oval bodies, right? Oval, you know the uh, shape oval, somewhat like this. Okay, so this is oval. Neat crooked legs, the enormous crab-like claws. Enormous means huge. Okay, huge crab-like claws, bulbous and neatly jointed armor. Okay, what do you mean by the word bulbous? Uh, Bulbous is something which is fat and round. Okay, it's something like a bulb. You have seen a bulb also, that it's fat and round. So bulbous and neatly jointed as armor. Armor is something which a soldier wears when he goes for a war. Okay, you have seen the old movies, they had this metal armor, so that is an armor. And the tail like a string of brown beads, ending in a sting like a rose thorn. Okay, rose thorn. So how is it comparing those claws, the tail with a rose thorn? Let us go ahead. The scorpion would lie there quietly, as we examined him, only raising his tail as a warning sign if you breathed too hard on him. Okay, so the scorpion is resting quietly and just only moving his tail. Now, what does the author think? He might be moving his tail to just give a warning that if you're going to come near me, if you breathe it too hard, that means if you approach him also, he's going to be too hard on you. Too hard means he might attack also. Now, let us understand what the author has told that happened with him on one fine day. Okay, till here we have completed the description of the wall, the inhabitants of the wall, and specifically the scorpion which was residing on that wall. Now let us hear the narration of the author, what he has done in the chapter regarding his one fine day's experience. Okay, then one day I found a fat female scorpion in the wall, wearing what at first glance appeared to be a pale fawn fur coat. Closer inspection proved that this strange garment was made up of a mass of tiny babies clinging to the mother's back. I was enraptured by this family, and I made up my mind to smuggle them into the house and up to my bedroom so that I might keep them and watch them grow up. Okay, so one fine day, whom did he find? A fat female scorpion in the wall. Okay, how was the appearance of that fat female scorpion? It looked like she had worn a pale fawn fur coat. Okay, pale is a faded, okay, of fawn fur coat. Closer inspection means observation, observing critically. Closer inspection proved that this strange garment is the are the clothes which you wear, okay, garments, was made up of a mass of tiny babies clinging to the mother's back. What do you mean by the word clinging? Supposedly, you are about to fall from some high level. You make sure that you hold on something. Okay, so when you're holding on something, it is clinging. Yes, you have seen in movies also when someone is pushed down the cliff. At that point of time, they try to grab something and make sure that they don't fall. That is clinging. So who was clinging to the mother's back? The tiny babies, the tiny scorpions. I was enraptured by this family, and I made up my mind to smuggle them. Okay, let us go back to the word enraptured. Enraptured, I was enraptured, okay, mesmerized. Okay, I was quite interested in that family. Okay, I had an interest had aroused in me regarding the family. Okay, so now enraptured means, for example, when you see something which you want, say for example a PlayStation, you say that I was enraptured by the new PlayStation and I wanted it, and I made up my mind to smuggle them. Now, why is the author using the word smuggle here and not just take? Smuggling is taking something illegally inside. Okay, your mother tells you, do not collect those stones when you go to the beach and bring them to our house. Okay, it might spread some bad smell also, but you being you take few stones from the beach and you make sure you smuggle them into your home with the help. First you will keep them into pocket, and then when no one is watching, you will just go and keep it in your cupboard, right? So without letting anyone know is smuggling. And up to my bedroom so that I might keep them and watch them grow up. So what was Geralt interested in? Watching them grow up, whom the tiny babies were clinging to their mother's back. With infinite care, I moved the mother and family into a matchbox and then hurried it to the villa. It was rather unfortunate that just as I entered the door, lunch should be served. Okay, now with infinite care, why is the author implying on the word infinite? Okay, that means his care knew no bounds. There were no limits to the care he took when he was smuggling them inside the house. Okay, so with infinite care, I moved the mother and family into a matchbox and then hurried it to the villa. Okay, villa is a structure, a building somewhat similar to a bungalow. Fine. It was rather unfortunate that just as I entered the door, lunch should be served. So, what period of day is right now going on? It is afternoon. And what do you think Gerald might have? What do you think Gerald? What do you think the time of the day was when Gerald was visiting the wall? It might be somewhere between morning and afternoon. Let us move ahead. However, I placed the matchbox carefully on the mantelpiece in the drawing room and made my way to the dining room and joined the family for the meal. Now he's carefully placing the matchbox where? On the mantelpiece. Not in India, but in places in cold countries, you have a fireplace at home. So exactly the area above the fireplace where there is place to keep the things is known as the mantelpiece. Okay, and where was the mantelpiece? It was in the drawing room. Okay, so he carefully placed the matchbox on the mantelpiece and he's made his way to the dining room where the lunch was served and the family members were present. Now let us see what happens on the dining table. Dawdling over my food, feeding Roger surreptitiously under the table, and listening to the family arguing, I completely forgot about my exciting new captures. So, what all was Gerald doing on his family dining table? Yes, he was dawdling over the food. Dawdling means without wasting any time, he was eating it hurriedly, bite after bite, without even chewing it properly. Okay, feeding Roger surreptitiously. Okay, surreptitiously is, when no one is looking, he used to quickly feed him. So why is he doing all these things? Because he wants to go back to the scorpions. He is eating fast, and at the same time, when no one is looking, feeding the food from his plate on the table to Roger. Now, who is Roger? Roger is his dog. Okay, Roger is Geralt's dog. And what else is he doing? Listening to the family arguing. Now, when he was performing all these activities, he completely forgot about his new captors, whom? The scorpions. At last, Larry, having finished, fetched the cigarettes from the drawing room and lying back in his chair, he put one in his mouth and picked up the matchbox he had brought. So now what is Larry doing? Once the lunch was done, once he finished his lunch, completed having his lunch, he fetched his cigarettes from the drawing room and lying back in his chair, he put one in his mouth and picked up the matchbox he had bought. Now, can you remember what is there in the matchbox? Yes, the scorpions which Gerald had smuggled inside the house from the wall. Oblivious that the end of my happy days was about to come, I watched my eldest brother interestedly as, talking loudly, he opened the matchbox. Now, what is the meaning of that oblivious? That means being unaware, okay? Had no idea that one of my happy days were coming to an end. I watched my eldest brother interestedly as, still taking loudly, he opened the matchbox. So oblivious, he knew that, my God, my days were going to be, the end of my happy days is near. But still, somewhere he was not able to accept it. Now, I insist to this day that the female scorpion meant no harm. So this statement tells us that, okay, something adventurous might have happened. Who knows, right? She was nervous and a little annoyed at being shut up in a matchbox for so long, and so she seized the first opportunity to escape. Seized the first opportunity, took the first opportunity to escape. She pulled herself out of the box with great rapidity, her babies clinging on desperately, and scuttled onto the back of Larry's hand. Okay, so scuttle, that means they're going rapidly on Larry's hand now. There, not quite certain what to do next, she paused, her sting curved up at the ready. So now who is ready to attack? The female scorpion. Larry, feeling the movement of her claws, glanced down to see what it was. And from that moment, things got increasingly confused. Okay. So when Larry felt something on his hand, he just took a look. Glancing means to take a look. Okay. Glanced down to see what it was. And from that moment, things got increasingly confused. So now something interesting is going to happen. Let us find it out in the next session. Okay. Thank you.